our assembly. So we're in a new design here. We're going to grab our data panel at the top left where our work is saved, and there are all of my pieces I need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the body first. I'm going to right click and go insert into current design. And once it's there, we're going to leave it right there. Why the body first? Because it automatically will anchor the body. So it has ground to parent ticked, which means right there, that won't move now. It's stuck in place. The body is a piece of our project that we don't want it to rotate or move later when we do our animations. So we can leave him like that. I'm then going to throw in my head. I'm just going to click and drag him. Well, I'm going to go OK and then drag him out because he's not ground to body. So this one has a little anchor, this one doesn't. I'm then going to put in my hips. And you'll just notice that my hips are actually upside down. So I actually want them the other way around. So I'm going to rotate them before I click enter because it's always handy to try and have everything in the right direction before we do our assembly. I'm going to throw in my leg. And this one needs to rotate this way 90 degrees because looking this way is the front. Drag him away. My other leg. Now, some of my pieces here might be drawn slightly different to yours. Like you might have both legs in one file, and that's okay because you can move them individually. When we assemble them, I'm going to throw in my pelvis as well, which actually needs to go this way. So it's really handy just to get everything pointing in the right direction. So we'll start there, then we'll add our arms, and then we'll add our hands after that. So I'm going to start with the easy one, which is going to be our head. Now, the way assembly works is we go up here to this button that says joint. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to line up the axes. So those little lines there, green, red, and blue, show you which way the axes are facing. If I kind of rotate around, sometimes it'll change. It's like here, I can have blue up, but if I go this way, now blue is facing towards me. So you want to try and get everything aligned. So here I can only go one way, so blue is down. But what I'm actually going to do is instead of choosing the top face here, I'm going to choose the bottom face because I can then choose the very bottom part of this in the middle, and it will go and line those two things up. And because all of our distances are right, everything will match perfectly, which is cool. So we're going to go and join everything first, and then we'll come back through and edit and change it for the movements. So there's our head. So then for our next piece down here, we need this piece to join to this piece. So I reckon the easiest way is probably to get the middle point, which is blue facing down. And if I come up to the top face here and choose this, blue is facing up. So the axis is still straight up and down vertically. So that's still going to work. So if I click that, it'll move. Now take note, it looks like the head hasn't moved, but that's already joined to that. It's just showing you how these two pieces will fit together. So when I click OK, it'll go back to where it was. Because it always takes the second piece you choose and moves to the first piece. So then I'm going to go and do my hips here. So the easiest way to align this is probably to choose the inside center there to the center of that one on the top. So let's go and try and get right in here. So blue is facing down. And we're going to choose the center here, and blue is facing up. So they'll align nicely, which that looks good. So we go OK. And then in my legs here, I'm probably just going to align the center of this circle to the center of that circle. So I'm going to do the outside face of that circle there, as in this plane here, but the outside. And it's going to connect to that outside face of the pelvis there. That would do the same with the other one. So outside to outside. Now we haven't put our dowels or anything on our 3D model because you won't actually see them from the outside. So there he's looking pretty good. We'll go and throw in our arms. So insert that. They're facing the wrong way, so we'll just rotate them around this way 90 degrees. And because they're separate bodies in that design, I can move them separately. And I'm going to throw in my left and right hands as well. Now, you might only have one hand, and that's okay. You can just put it in twice. Mr. Cross has forgotten to rotate the other one there. So we might actually get away with it. So we might just go okay there. So here I'm going to join the middle of this circle on the outside. So yeah, not that one there, to the middle of this circle there. And you'll see because of the circles I've chosen, it's actually put it on that angle too nicely, which is nice. If you end up choosing the wrong bits, you can always just Command Z and undo as well. So I'm going to choose there, which looks like it's the wrong piece. So I'm going to go back in. I want it on that face there. If you can't quite select what you need, always remember you can zoom in and out like that until you can and rotate around. And now we'll see how good Fusion is here. I'm going to join probably the end of this one inside to the bottom one this time. And it's rotated it around as well because circles join nicely because there's usually only one way they can go if we're choosing their center axis. So then I just need to find this one here. So he's sitting behind there. So I could use the move tool, but easier than that, I'm going to choose to turn off the body. Choose my piece there. Go right into the bottom there, align him, go okay, and then turn my body back on. And so there's my Lego man fully assembled. Now, if we want to go above and beyond, we want to start doing some rotations and things here. So how do we do that? Well, it's all to do with those joints. So each of these little symbols here are our joints. And some of them we want stuck together and some of them we want to rotate. So this current joint, if I open one, let's just right click on him and go edit joint. If I go to motion, he's currently a rigid joint, which means stuck still, like it'll stay still. If I change him to a revolute, he'll rotate around an axis. The slider goes back and forth, and there's all different ones. But we want a revolute, and you can see already, it'll show you how it will revolve. How do we want it to revolve? Well, we have a fiddle with these numbers down here. So if I pick minimum and go 90, not 0.9, 90, it'll show you where it'll go. Now, how do I know where I want it to go? Well, we'll just come down a little bit because I don't want it to go all the way back there. That looks like a pretty good one. So my minimum's 70, my maximum's 90. If I press play, you can kind of see it's going to go between 70 and 90. Now what I actually will want is I think I'm going to go minus 70 to 70. How does that work? Well, remember 0 was up and down. So if I'm going 70 forward and 70 back, it's minus 70 to 70. And where do I want it to rest? I want it to rest at 0. So now if I press play, it'll show you the movement. And it will rest at that point there. So I go, okay. Now, when I grab that leg, I can click and drag it and it will rotate. And when I let go, it'll rest at 0. Now, I might not want it to rest at 0. So if I jump back into that joint there, and I go edit joint, and I change him and unrest him, wherever I click and drag and leave him is where he'll rest. So then I can just come down, so I can choose my joints through here, find my other one, edit joint. We're going to go revolute, minimum minus 70, 70, done. And we can see I can kind of make him look like he's running a little bit there now. If I come back down here and I start looking at my joints, we inserted that. So I could want my arm joint, so I might edit my arm joint. I'm going to change it to a revolute as well. And I might, well, for the arm, it can probably turn around the whole way fine. So we'll go okay with that one. This one in here, we'll edit our joint. We'll make him a revolute, and he can go the whole way as well. And then my hands, I would probably do the same thing. So changing to a revolute. This one here, change him to a revolute. And then this one here, I'm going to change him to a revolute as well. So now, what does that mean? It means the only joint that's locked in is this one in here. So that's rigid, but everything else, if I grab my arm, will move, and will move, and not that you can really tell, but the head will also spin around. If I grab that hand in a certain way, I can kind of get the hand to move as well. If I wanted my hands on certain angles and I'm struggling, I can always go back into this joint, and I can lock it so it doesn't move, and then this one will move without the other one moving. So say I wanted to go like this, I could then unlock him, and I'm just right clicking to get that menu up. And I might want my hand, also sorry, that joint there, I want to lock the motion. And then that one, I might want him like that, and then I can always go back in to that joint and unlock my motion. So he could kind of look, oh, that one's still locked, unlock him. You can kind of make him look like he's running if you wanted to, for example. And so there is my Lego Man, all assembled with moving joints and parts. If you wanted to make it so you can't see your joints, you can just come down here to display settings, and in here under visual style, no, object visibility, you can get rid of joints. Now I get rid of joint origins and joint axes. You can sort of turn things on and off as you want. That's also where you can find all your planes and things. So you might want to say, oh, I don't actually want any of them. I could go into here and turn off the things underneath it. But that's the Lego Man finished for my assembly, and I would make a quick little screen recording to add that to my assessment task. Just make sure you save your assembly once you're done so you don't lose him.